Now let's get into the more interesting creative technique here. Hello and welcome to In the Studio. My name is Donny Carr and this is episode number 46. Today we will be talking about sampling. The first thing I want to discuss briefly is why it's important to change the root note of your sample when using one-shots, and that's more of a beginner, people cutting their teeth with music production, but it's very important, so I'll cover that briefly. And then I want to also show you a very interesting technique on how to create some unique sounds using some sampling techniques as well as just some basic routing in the mixer. So let's get right to it here. So for instance, say I have this bass sound pulled up and I want to use it in my track, for instance here. And it says F sharp, and that's maybe that's kind of the key that I want or don't want. Who knows? Thing is, here's the sample here. When I press C5 on my keyboard, it's playing that F sharp. And I want to map that out so it's going to play correctly on my keyboard. This is how you do that. You go into the wrench tab here, and by default in FL Studio, the root note's set to C5. So to change that, all we do is select the actual root note. In this case, it's F sharp. So, oops, F sharp here. So now when I hit C5, it's going to actually play a C, and it's going to play that root note, or the F sharp, when I'm actually playing F sharp. So that's just a little, beginner tidbit there that I think is important if you want, the correct mapping on your keyboard if you're using samples. So just wanted to cover that really quick. Now let's get into the more interesting creative technique here. So I've just picked out a random sample for this. The only thing that you need to have is some stereo information with this sample to make this work correctly. So here's the sample, which there's some definite stereo information going on there. And I'll talk about the routing here in a second. But what we're going to do here is we're going to clone this. We're going to put this on 17. I'm going to pan. This one's on 16, the first one. So I'm going to pan this one left, and the copy we're going to pan right. They're both unrouted from the master and sent directly into the synth group, which is then going to the master. So what we want to do here is on the left channel, what I'm going to do is not pan it, it's already panned, is reverse it. Okay. Now what we want to do is I want to trigger both these at the same time so I could better hear what's going on. So let's just set up a quick layer here, and we're just going to open this up. Let's pull this down for a second. Okay, I'm going to open this up, and all we do is select the things we want to layer. In this case, it's the synth shots. We're going to go set children, and then we're good to go there. So now when we select the layer, it's going to trigger both those. Cool. Let's listen to the original really quick. Okay. And then the okay, that's definitely interesting. I think there's maybe too much going on there, so let's just on the synth group here, let's just make this a little bit more mono. Let's merge this here. Nice. We'll leave a little bit of the stereo information in there. And then what I also want to try doing is maybe pitching it down. Let's try an octave. That's cool. Let's try another octave. That's pretty interesting. That's a kind of a cool sound there. Yeah, so I mean, this technique is definitely you know, kind of a trial and error. It definitely yields some interesting sounds, but it doesn't always pan out to be to work. But that's definitely a long ways away from where we started, you know, which was this sound here. So yeah, I just thought that was a kind of a cool technique to, you know, to maybe to put in your toolbox and try out occasionally. Yeah, you can definitely come up with some interesting sounds that way. So that's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment, leave me a question. I'd love to hear from you. So I'll see you soon, but take care. Bye bye.